Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
With that, we move on to the seventh topic. In this topic, we are going to look at technological and institutional reforms in agriculture. Okay, some of the reforms, some of the changes made or introduced for the growth and development of agriculture. We know that agriculture is very important. It brings changes to our society. It helps or contributes to the economic development of our country as well, right? So agricultural development or any development done in the sector of agriculture is a precondition of our national prosperity. So the prosperity, how the nation prospers, how the nation develops or grows its economy, that has direct relationship with the agriculture or any development that occurs in agriculture. Okay, agriculture has remained very important for India's economy for thousands of years. It's not that it's important today, that it's been important recently, but it has always remained as important for the economy of our country for many years. Okay. However, the constant use of land without any appropriate technological or institutional changes, that has led to the development of agriculture, that has not improved the agriculture, that has not led to the proper growth or improvement of the agriculture. Okay, and why has that been so? Why has there not been improvement in agriculture? It's because most farmers, they still depend on monsoons. They wait for rainfall for their cultivation. Okay, they depend on natural fertility or natural fertilizers and also seeds. They don't use the technological improvements. They do not use the new modern methods. Okay, they still use the old traditional methods. The second reason is that old methods of irrigation, old methods of watering or using water for the cultivation, that is still used. Old tools, Persian wheel, wooden plow, bullock carts, they are still used by the farmers. Now we know that large portion of the population in our country, they depend on agriculture. They are almost 70% of the total population of our country. Because of this reason, because of the importance of agriculture and how majority of the people depend on it and how the country's prosperity depends on agriculture, immediate need for implementing reforms, which are technical as well as institutional reforms, that is required. It's become very important for changes to be made. Okay. So land reform is one of those reforms, reforming, bringing changes to the land, okay, or rules, some of the rules which are followed by the farmers, landholders, zamindars, etc. So land reform was one of the main focus of India's first 5-year plan. After independence, when India received independence in 1947 from the British, the Indian leaders, the leaders of our country, the Indian government began to initiate or introduce programs for the development of our economy as well as our country. So that initiative was called 5-year plan. Okay, that included lot of schemes and policies and programs which would contribute or which would lead the country towards its development. Land reform was also one of the part of that 5-year plan. Okay, so the government introduced various land reforms, and some of them were abolition of zamindari system, collectivization and consolidation of land holdings. So they made changes in the land holding system. They removed zamindars from being the sole owner and exploiting the landless farmers or the laborers who worked in the zamindar's land. Okay, now these changes, these reforms were introduced or they were implemented to improve the condition of agriculture and also to improve the condition of the farmer and the landless laborers. Okay. The government initiated agricultural reforms in the 1960s and 1970s. The main motive was to improve agriculture then. Okay. Later, they also introduced Green Revolution and the White Revolution. So, Green Revolution was for the high yield or to increase the productivity, high productivity of agriculture. Okay, and the White Revolution was also called Operation Flood. So these were all for the improvement of agriculture. The Green Revolution is a phrase generally used to describe spectacular increase in the production of food grains in India. So it was an initiative of the government for the increase, very high increase, rapid increase of the production of food grains in India. Okay. Now, all these programs, schemes, policies of the governments, although they were introduced over the period of time after independence, but these were not successful in bringing about the desired improvement, the improvement that the government wanted to bring. That was not brought. Okay, development and improvement happened only in certain areas. It didn't happen all over the country, which was the main aim, right? But that didn't happen. Only certain areas developed, or the agriculture or the cultivation of certain areas developed or grew. Okay. So, by 1980s and 1990s, it became very important. It became clear that comprehensive land development programs should be introduced, should be implemented, and these programs would include both institutional as well as technical reforms. It would not only be institutional, it would not be policies only, it would be also technical reforms. There would be improvements in the land, there would be certain encouragement given to the farmers. Okay, so all these needed to be done together to make sure that the agricultural development took place. Okay, so the following institutional and technical reforms were implemented. Let's look at them. Subsidy on electricity, seeds and fertilizers to ensure that farmers continued to improve agriculture. That was done. Consolidated and collectivized farms to make them economically viable. So the farms or the land holdings were consolidated and collectivized. It did not become individualized. Okay. Widespread use of radio, television for acquainting farmers in new and improved techniques of cultivation was done. Radio and television was used to share information to the farmers, telling them about new and improved techniques that should be used for cultivation. Crop insurance to protect the farmers against losses which were caused at times of drought, at times of crop failure, that was also provided. Special weather bulletins and agricultural programs for farmers were provided on television and radio. Well-knit network of rural banking for farmers were begun or started to help the farmers get loans when they needed the money that they needed to invest on agriculture. Okay. Announcing minimum support price for the crops grown by farmers to check exploitation of farmers by middlemen and speculators were also done. Remunerative and procurement prices for important crops to check the exploitation of farmers by speculators and middlemen was also done by the government. Introduction of Kisan Credit Card and Personal Accident Insurance Scheme were also initiated by the government to help the farmers and altogether finally help in the growth and development of agriculture.